Okay, guys, welcome to this week's Fife Property Update. This is the week beginning the 17th of October to the week ending the 23rd of October, which is yesterday. Again, I'll just reiterate what this is. This is a look right across the whole Fife property market itself with all the estate agents, looking at the number of properties we've all brought onto the market in the week versus the number of properties actually sold in that same week. What does this tell us when we ask that? Well, it actually tells us where the supply and demand is, and it also tells us a good indication about whether we should be paying as a buyer, whether you should be offering over the market value and over the home report value, or whether you should be, really just taking a chance and actually offering just a wee bit lower, maybe home report value for your property itself. Feel free to ask questions on the way as well. You notice a different backdrop this time. I don't know what, something happened on Friday, which was quite remarkable. We managed to get 6 awards at the ESTAs, which is the UK Estate Agent Awards, which is the pinnacle. It's like the Oscars of the estate agency world. It is voted for by your customers, by the people that matter to us. They vote for you, and as a result, we managed to hit a lot of mile marks. Number 1 for lettings in Fife. Number 1 for estate agency in Fife, number 1 in Scotland for the best small group of a estate agency chain. We actually got a bronze award as well for the 3rd place for the Leaving Office for the number 1 estate agent in Scotland, and we got the 2nd place for the number 2 letting agent in Scotland, and then finally as well we got the number 1 estate agent in Scotland for the 2nd time. So we were pretty chuffed with that. So my desk is full of all these awards all the way through. It's just it's amazing for that to happen to us. But I've got to say, I've got to take my hat off and thank you very much to our customers for voting for us. These are the people that matter, obviously, because it's the service that we deliver for them is the most important thing to us. To achieve what we need to achieve for them is the ultimate goal, and as a natural byproduct to that, we get paid for that. So our ultimate goal is to make it happen for a customer, make it happen for a seller, make it happen for you yourself, even a buyer as well, and a tenant, and a landlord, an investor, whatever your field is in property. It's our objective to make it happen for you. That's what the priority is for, and that's what we do, and that's why our tagline is helping you manage life as it happens. So let's talk about the Fife property market and what's happened so far. Okay, so let's look right across Fife here. Now, in the Cooper area, 7 properties were instructed. 10 properties in that week went under offer and sold. That tells you straight away is demand, again, is outstripping supply. I'm going to have a couple of numbers right across Fife and show you the number of properties actually on the market totally across Fife versus the number of properties actually under offer as well. And I'll tell you a wee bit about times taking to exchange as a result of that. So East Nuke area, they were 4 properties came onto the market and 5 properties went under offer. Again, demand outstripping supply. St Andrews, 10 properties came on the market and only 5 went under offer. St Andrews actually lags behind. I'm actually quite surprised that people still contend to pay more money than the home report value for properties in St Andrews because of that. But I'll tell you why that is at the end of this conversation, at the end of this one on the next subject. Leavenmouth, we're also going to be talking about the ones we're bringing on this week and the ones we've sold this week and how many people missed out, because that's quite important to show you supply and demand. And if you've got a similar property to this one, then it's good. Actually, you should really seriously consider selling at this time of year. Leavenmouth, 15 came onto the market. 8 properties actually went under offer and sold. That's actually quite surprising because Leavenmouth consistently more properties are actually sold and come onto the market. So, that's probably just leveling off. It's probably just a realignment of the number of transactions. Dunfermline, 58 came onto the market. 35 sold. Again, realignment for Dunfermline because they're always outstripping supply. Glenrothes, 6 came onto the market. 18 sold and under offer. I say this every single week. If you've got a property in Glenrothes and you're thinking about selling, don't wait till next year. Now is the time, definitely, because there's a huge market. You can see there 3 times more properties were actually sold than actually was instructed in the same week, which shows you there's a huge amount of people actually clamoring for these properties, and there still are in the Glenrothes area. Glenrothes is quite a unique area in the fact that number of properties on the market compared to the number of households in the area is actually double The demand is double any other area in Fife, any other area in here, in Cooper and East Neuk and that. So Glenrothes is actually a really good market for selling. It's also a really good market for buying because apparently, well, I know this anyway because I used to sit in the housing panel for the Housing Partnership for Fife Council with Strategic Housing Policy several years ago. There was a study commissioned, and outside of St Andrews, Glenrothes was actually identified as the next pressured status housing area, which I was really surprised about. You would expect it to be probably Cooper, but it wasn't at that time. So Glenrothes is still a sought after area, and it's good, affordable housing in the Glenrothes area. It's central Fife as well, which is ideal for commuting anywhere or getting about from east to west or north to south. Anyway, okay, Kirkcaldy 38 listed and 31 sold. Overall instructed 130 in the actual week. 112 were actually sold and under offer. Okay, so let's talk about this supply and demand issue. Number of properties on the market 12 years ago. 12 months ago. Number of properties on the market 12 months ago were about 1,200 properties actually up for sale right across Fife itself. Just over that. So the number of properties up for sale, actually available for sale just now against what it was 12 months ago, is only 525. That is less than half the amount of stock that was available over 12 months ago. It's up for sale in Fife just now, which is creating this huge demand still. So no matter how much supply you're going to bring on, if you're bringing on 50 a week, in order to get back to that 600 more level, you're going to have to take about 12 months actually to get back to that, or 12 months if you're taking on 50 more every single month than you're actually selling. So it's going to take 12 months to get back to that. And even before pre-pandemic levels, it was actually a lot more demand for properties. So I don't see anytime soon where it's going to change unless anything in the economy changes, which I can't see happening. Inflation rates are going up. We expect it to be probably around about 4.5% by the end of the year, at Christmas time. Whether the bank will increase interest rates or not is completely irrelevant. Now, why do I say it's completely irrelevant if the bank to the housing market if the bank increase interest rates? Because it won't affect most people, because 90% of all new mortgages are getting taken out just now are fixed rate mortgages. So it won't affect anybody in the short term or medium term because they've actually taken out long-term mortgages. A lot of them are taking out 5-year fixed rate deals. So that won't have any effect on them at all, increasing interest rates, because they're fixed rate, 90% of them. And the people before we actually did that were taking out round about 75% were taking out fixed rate mortgages as well. So that's why an interest rate increase won't really affect the housing market, the people that are currently in their position, because they've got certainty in the fact of fixed rates. So if you're worried about that, then the key here is to actually get a mortgage where you've got a fixed rate, where you have some certainty for the next 5 years. So if interest rates do go up, you've nothing to bother about. It doesn't affect you at all. Okay, so let's look at the next one then. So this is the total number of properties, including the 525 that are currently on the market. So this is the ones, including the ones under offer and sold. So this is 1,876 properties right across Fife. So that means roughly about 1,300 are waiting, are actually sold or under offer, and they're waiting to be concluded. Now it's 525 or thereabouts. If there's 500 a month, we're actually all the agents in Fife are selling, and there's 500 actually going through with the solicitors, then it will take at least 3.5 months for actually all these transactions to go through from actually selling. So if you're going to put your house on the market now, more than likely on average, you will be handing over keys to the next person if everything went on the average course to near enough to the end of February next year. And that's just the average. You might be able to do it quicker, maybe highly unlikely. You've got to have unique circumstances to do that, but you can ask us about that later. You can message us direct if you want more information on that, or it might take a wee bit longer. I'm saying you should judge it based on the fact that it might take 4 months to get that. So if we're in October now, coming up for November, December, January, February. So end of February, beginning of March is probably when you'll actually sell. So if you're looking to move and actually be in your next house by the beginning of March, April, then you're probably needing to put your house on the market now in order to negotiate that time. Okay, and that's key here. But the most important thing is, we actually did a show the other day about the fact that a lot of people actually are convinced that they're going to be left without their home if they actually put the house in the market and get an offer. But we can negotiate for them, and any good estate agent can do this, can negotiate an entry date which actually suits for your purpose. We have open-ended entry dates sometimes until the next person, within reason. Sometimes it's we'll give them up to 3 or 4 months to find their dream home, and then we'll discuss it again about what the entry date should be. We have even one with 12 months agreement of an entry date just recently in the last couple of weeks. So there's people out there. The key is, if you don't put your house in the market, you'll never find that person. If you do put your house in the market, at least that person has an opportunity to make that offer to you. So that's why it's important to actually really consider and seriously consider if you need to move, because people move for their circumstances. They don't move for the sake of it. They move for circumstances. Whether it's actually relocating for a job, whether it's possibly you've no longer got a job, whether it's possibly you've decided to downsize, whether it's possibly you've decided to upsize because you've got a bigger family. You can't tell your kids to stop in the middle of pregnancy and say, stop, we've not got a house to move to. And you can't tell your kids to stop growing up. That's not going to happen. So you have to move for circumstances. So that's the key there. So if you need more advice on that, please feel free to contact us and message us direct. Let's look at some of the properties that actually we've actually got coming to market. Let me talk about this. Just flip over my page because I've got this one here. So this is some of the ones that have actually sold this week. And the reason we're telling you that is because there is people, if you've got property like this and you've missed and you're considering selling, then we have actually people that have missed out on these. And so they would be interested. So Carlton Avenue in Glenrothes actually was a 3-bedroom semi-detached house, and that sold in 9 days for a really good price. Everybody was happy in that. 2 other people missed out on this, so that's the key here. So if you've got a property, a 3-bedroom semi-detached house in Glenrothes, absolutely, it'll be really popular. Somebody actually said to me, I couldn't believe it went for that price. Even when it went on at that price, they were actually really surprised, and they thought we would never get it sold. 9 days later, it was sold for a lot more. So it tells you where the state of the market is just now, and so where you are. And the new owner is delighted with their first home, first-time buyer. Let's look at Holly Park in Cooper, 2-bedroom semi-detached bungalow. That was actually sold at a closing date, as you'll see there. So sold at a closing date, and 4 other people missed out on this one. So if you've got a 2-bedroom semi-detached bungalow in Cooper area, it's going to be popular. We've got people looking for these types of properties, and because we've had a closing date, we've got people that will be looking to offer in a position to proceed on our books right now. So you could actually do a deal if you are considering doing an off-market deal for a offer you cannot refuse. So some of our buyers are actually prepared to do off-market deals. Some of our sellers are actually prepared to do off-market deals. This is why it's important that you go through the priority access registration, VIP registration process, to make sure you actually get told about property or you get informed about property if you are in a position to proceed. Because it might not even make it to a website. It might not even make it to social media. It might actually be sold and no one ever knows about it. I heard a comment the other day on social media. Somebody actually said, I never ever saw the pre-portal launch for that. Well, that says it all. Okay, so Road Street and St Monans, it's sold. It's a 3-bedroom terraced house, a townhouse actually on 3 levels. Beautiful house. And the owner's delighted with their new home. And one other person missed out on this at what we call a pre-mini closing date. So we managed to do that as well, have people offering at multiple times on this one. So if you've got a property like that, feel free to contact us. And finally, Sawtree Villa in Ceres, a 4-bedroom detached house, is a beautiful home. Now, if you don't know the village of Ceres, you need to go into Google and look it up. This village has a huge history. This village has a Highland Games, which is potentially the oldest Highland Games in the world. It was actually decreed by Robert the Bruce. Now, I think Fred, Gino, and Gordon Ramsay actually visited. I was actually there a couple of years back when they visited the Highland Games on their wee tour on STV, their tour of Britain. So that's the Highland Games for the Ceres Highland Games. And there's a lot of other community events that actually go on in the Ceres area. And it's just outside Cooper. It's just outside as well, easy access to St Andrews. And then over the hill is easy access to the East Neuk area as well. But it really is country life. It's a wonderful place to live. Okay, so let's talk about what we've got coming soon. The main event, what everybody wants to hear, what we've got coming soon. Watch out for Todd's Green and Crail. This is a 2-bedroom terraced house, and it's an open plan lounge and dining room. I've been in it. It's a wonderful location and a wonderful house. This is coming onto the market in a pre-portal launch, possibly this week. There's a plot of land in Kilrenny. It has a planning in principle already, 694 square metres, and it has outline planning for a 4-bedroom, 2-reception with a double garage as well, detached villa. It is an amazing plan. I did a pre-portal launch just on Thursday, I think it was, and it'll be going live on the website soon. So if you've not seen that and you want more information, pop onto our Facebook page. Just look back the actual one for East Nuke, Fife Properties. Look back and you see the pre-portal launch. It'll give you the planning number for it, and it'll tell you a bit more about that. But it's going to come on offers over 100,000. But it is an amazing area. It has a gas main into it already because the owners were going to build on it and then decided it's far too big for them. It's just themselves. So it wouldn't make sense at all. So they've decided to release this land with the planning in principle to the open market. I've convinced them to do that. So be quick for that, please. Sunny No and Promenade and Leaving. This is an amazing 3-bedroom. Listen, 3-reception and 3-shower room. Yep, 3-bedroom, 3-reception, 3-shower room, detached and bungalow, a detached bungalow, and it's impressive sea views right across towards the sea as well. The Forth, and you can see the Bass Rock in the background as well. So Sunny No and Promenade and Leaving is coming on. James Street in answer to that, 2 apartments, 1 commercial premises, that'll be coming on soon. Cherry Court and Methil, that's a 3-bedroom semi-detached house, will be coming on soon as well. So watch out for that one. Property is completed. I'll come back to that in a minute if I could find my paperwork. Let's see if I could see that on here. Yeah, here we go. The benefits of live television. I threw that bit on the ground. Think I'm not needing that. So this is Hillhead Street in London Links has finally concluded. Now, the reason it would tell you this, keys are handed over, so we now can tell you about prices it got. So this was a 2-bedroom ground floor apartment, which sold for 139,500, 140,000. New owners delighted with their new home. One person actually missed out on this. So if you've got a 2-bedroom ground floor apartment in the London Links area, then 140,000 is probably your starting point now. So you know where we're going with this. Typically, home reports and house prices are actually going a lot more than home report now. So we'd probably be starting with a home report at 140,000 for a 2-bedroom flat in the London Links area. Okay, so Miller Terrace, a 5-bedroom mid-terraced house, that actually sold at a closing date previously for a record 37.5% more than the actual value. It went for £410,000. New owner is ecstatic with a new home. They are actually moving into it. Yes, it's not going to be serviced accommodation. It's not going to be a holiday home. They are coming all the way down from the north of Scotland to live in Miller Terrace in St Monans. Fantastic opportunity for them. The key here is in Miller Terrace in St Monans, 9 other people missed out on that closing date, and I know a lot of them were around about that offer. So there is people out there willing to pay substantially more for these types of properties in that area at this point in time. So if you have a property in the St Monans area, please feel free to contact us. We'll give you the best advice possible. It is not about whether we should be selling your house at this point in time. It is talking you through the process to establish if now is the time to sell your house or if actually it's not the time. I was round at someone's house today at Lower Largo, and we concluded they'd be better probably not to sell the property and actually keep a hold of it. And that's the best advice I can give them. And I'm going to show them another strategy in order to release funds in order to buy more property as a result, because they're an investor. So therefore, capital gains won't apply. They'll save an absolute fortune in that. And also they'll get the best advice in order to increase their wealth over a period of time and still have money coming in while the property is actually increasing in value. Property investment, you're literally paid to wait. What a fantastic business that is. Good asset class, good investment class as well. Some of the things we actually spoke about, I've thrown it down on the ground again. Some of the things we spoke about, let me talk about. This is Hot Property, how to achieve the very best for your home in Fife. Now, I've actually put the link on here. This is what we did yesterday, yeah. It was Perry, it was Jimmy and myself, and Richard was on for a wee time as well. But we talked about the key things and how to achieve the very best price for your property in Fife right at this point in time. The things that you should be doing. I mean, the classic is, have you ever actually wondered how some homes get multiple offers while others actually struggle and rarely even get a chance? There's no such thing as an unsellable home at the end of the day. There's a lot of key things you can do in order to make your homes more attractive online and with the online presence, because that's clearly where your shop window is. Your shop window is basically that now. This. When you think about it, okay, 80% of people that we have in our audience, out of the 450,000 that we have coming to us every single year, look at everything on a mobile. So the shop window is now here. So the key is actually to understand a company understands technology and how to utilize it the best in order to get you the right buyer. Now, the right buyer for you might not actually be a right buyer from Rightmove. It might not be a buyer from Zoopla. It might be a buyer from social media. It might be a buyer from another platform that we reach. It might be a buyer from YouTube. It might be a buyer from LinkedIn. It might be a buyer direct to our website, which is the 450,000 people that come to our website every single year. And that's the key here. That it's not relying on one strategy and one club in your bag to play that game of golf. It's actually a number of strategies in order to achieve that result at the end of the game, basically. And the end result is actually to get you the best price. Everybody says that, don't they? But that means a completely different thing to us. And if you contact us, we'll tell you why that is. And also the best circumstances. And again, everybody says that. But again, we'll come back to saying, who gets an entry date of 12 months? Us, just recently. Who gets an entry date of 6 months, 9 months? We get that, and we get these agreements. So even though you've not got somewhere to go, then we always get something to fall in line. So we make sure that you're protected. So you'll always have somewhere to go with it, and it's under your terms. The key here is it's up to you whether you actually sell your house or not. That's the key. And it's up to us to negotiate that deal for you. That's what our job is. That's why people get us. They buy us for our skill. They don't buy us to put a property on the market and just, put it on Rightmove and Zoopla. Anybody can do that. Not everybody can negotiate the best price. Not everybody can hit a customer that would otherwise not even be looking on Zoopla or Rightmove or Prime Location or any website for that matter. But we managed to do that because we have other tools and other systems that actually reach these new audiences with the new technologies that are available in order to do that. So literally, while they're on their phone doing something or scrolling on a game or a Facebook or an app, our advert for your property actually pops up in between. They have no choice. We retarget them. We use the same technology as Samsung, Sony, Amazon, and all these big corporations use in order to hit the right markets we're after. Okay, so that's what Hot Property is all about. We talk about starting with the strategy, and that's the most important thing. Selling the lifestyle, how to do that, successful viewing days. Listen, even if you're with another estate agent just now and you're on the market just now and you think it's struggling a bit, watch this, take the advice. It's an hour show. We always do an hour show, and it's our insight into how to do things the best. Now, I'll just remind you, the #1 estate agent in Scotland. We're doing something right. Success leaves clues. So if we can help you on your journey achieve the result you want, regardless of who you're selling with, that's our job done. That's what we're here for. And that's why people get us as a result. So it talks about also the key days to do successful viewings. And then it goes into the actual power buyer reviews. So this is actually quite an interesting one. The power buyer reviews is actually quite an interesting one, and listen to that. There's a podcast on there as well on this link. So if you go on, you can listen to the podcast as well if you want. So there's an online show, there's the podcast, and there's actually the article itself. But as I say, the article is just a foundation for us to go through on our show. The article literally takes 4 minutes to read. The show actually is an hour of people understand the market, have been experts in their field, actually talking about what this really means on the ground, boots on the ground, nuts and bolts. and how to manifest it and how to get the right prices and the right success in what you're doing. And then finally, accepting the right offer. That's the key here as well. Accepting the right offer and how not all offers are equal, and even the same amount of money. When it comes down to it, you'd be surprised how that's done. How is it we can put a house on next door to another agent's house that sold 2 months before, but actually achieved 55,000 more for ours, and they're both exactly the same, if not ours was a bit smaller? How is it possible for us to put a house on, another flat, an apartment on, which was actually 1 week after the downstairs went for sale, and we had exactly the same apartment, but we didn't have the garden, and yet we sold ours for 100,000 more than the downstairs sold for, and yet they were both exactly the same apartments, and the downstairs actually had a garden. So how is it possible for us to achieve 100,000 more? It's clever marketing, and it's down to strategy, and it's down to strong negotiation. That's all it's down to. We've invested in this technology. We have coaches for 2 years. Stephen Brown is actually our coach. He's one of the top coaches for estate agency in Britain, if not the best in Britain. And he's been coaching us for the last 2 years. In order, every single week he coaches us. Just like an athlete has a coach, we have a coach as well for this process and for our team every single week. Okay, so, and finally, let's talk about the valuation process again. I'll talk about this again. I beat this drum every single week. You don't know what you don't know. This is what it comes down to. We put an instant valuation tool on it. Yeah, everybody else does this as well. Oh, an instant valuation tool again. They're not very accurate, everybody says. But the reality is we've honed and developed this tool in order to make it as accurate as possible by giving it enough feedback in order to readjust the algorithm to get the right response and to give you the right amount and right valuation. So it is actually, they actually won an award for this valuation tool. So we actually use that valuation tool. They won an award for the top valuation tool in the UK, but we actually have it embedded into our system. We've actually changed it slightly and improved it slightly in order to get the better results for us. So it's an instant valuation tool based on the local community prices. It's not an overall right throughout Britain. It takes into account. So it actually gives you a more accurate valuation for sales and for lettings. And again, we'll come back to saying I've spoken to many people in the last couple of weeks. We're actually gobsmacked when I told them what the valuation of their house is. They couldn't believe it. And then they went on to say that, well, that's all very well, but if I sold at that price, then I'd probably end up buying at that price as well. So it's even Stevens. And I went, well, it's not really, considering the fact that when you go back to saying that if an estate agent had just sold a house 2 months before for £55,000 less than ours, and then another one sold 1 week before for 100,000 less than ours, then if you're selling with us, you're going to get a far better price than you are buying from someone else. It's not all equal then, is it? If you understand that. If you don't understand that, you better ask me, because I'll tell you what, we're missing a trick. We're missing a trick, definitely. If you've not grasped that concept yet, the fact that we sell for a lot better prices than other estate agents do, and we've got a track record for that. The average roundabout Fife itself is 8% in the last year. We're sitting at 16% in terms of what we're achieving so far on average for our properties. Okay, so that's the valuation tool. That tells you all about your current valuation of your property, but also gives you a rental valuation as well. You'd be amazed at how much rents have gone up. The landlord I saw today, and I went round to see his property. He said he was charging, he says he was charging a certain amount for his rent, and I went, I can't believe it. You're £100 light every single month on what you're charging. Now, that's fine. It's okay, because the tenant's getting a nice discount there, and that's okay. I've got no gripes about that at all. But what's going to happen when you're asked to put your hand in your pocket because the central heating goes down? Where are you going to get that money from? Well, if it's an extra £100 a month, there's the £1,200 for the year. So if the heating, the boiler breaks, then you could immediately say, that's fine, I'll put a new boiler in straight away. Because just now, it's almost like it's going to come out of his pocket then. It won't come out of the actual money it's generating because he's not charging enough. So you need to charge enough for your rental property in order to reinvest in it, in order to look after the tenant. After all, you've got a duty of care. That's what it comes down to. You're a landlord. Well, I was going to say you're an investor, but an investor is hands-off and we look after it. So an investor doesn't really, a landlord technically, but an investor actually has hands-off approach and lets us look after the whole process for them. So we make all the decisions for them and we do all that and they don't get involved in that, and they go and do what they want to do and still make money. But if you're a landlord, you've got a duty of care. You must look after your tenant. You must get and replace things when they need replaced. When your kitchens as well, maybe your kitchen in your house lasts 15, 20 years. Some people it does. It's amazing. I've walked into some properties and they've actually lasted that long. But for other people, some kitchens would last 5, maybe 6 years. So again, you might have to change the kitchen in 5 or 6 years. Now, changing a kitchen is £5,000 to £6,000 when you think about it. So where's that money going to come from? Well, if you're not charging enough in rent, it's going to come out of your pocket again. So that's why when you think about it, £1,200 extra a year over the 5-year period is £6,000. There's the new kitchen. What about the bathroom? You change the bathroom eventually. What about, there's loads of things. What about the roof? What if the roof goes wrong? So these are other things you need to consider if you're a landlord. That's why you need to charge the right rent. But we've got shows on, we've got blogs and vlogs on there. So if you get a chance, if you click on this one, which is for the hot property, you will see all the blogs and vlogs we've got from before. We have got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. We've got over 100 helpful guides on our YouTube channel as well for decluttering, for viewing, for getting the best results, for, doing everything possible, finding the best buyer, finding the best property for their next property, how to decorate a bedroom, how to extend, is it worth improving or is it worth selling? Just now, these are all the things that are online with the helpful guides that we've got. So if you get a chance, go into our YouTube channel, Fife Properties. You go into our search bar at the top and you can just type in, or you can just click on the playlist for the helpful guides, click on that and just scroll through all the guides and you can see what suits you. We've even got guides on anxiety and how to deal with it and how to cope with anxiety. 6 simple steps to deal with anxiety, how to sleep better. So all these are different online guides in order to help you through the process. And that's it, guys. If you've got any further questions, please feel free to message me direct. And until next time, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV.